In 2001, the Dutch were the first in the world to regulate the use of medicinal cannabis. The cultivation, production, and supply of medicinal cannabis is controlled by the Office of Medicinal Cannabis, part of the Ministry of Health.
Being the first is, of course, one of the problems, because you have to invent everything.
Willem Scholten was the first director of the Office of Medicinal Cannabis. His job was to create a safe grow and distribution system to prevent medicinal users to be dependent on buying in uncontrolled coffee shops.
Yeah, that was the main reason to introduce the product to the pharmacies, that people had a safe product.
The choice the Dutch made was to create a pharmaceutical system under strict conditions. The office had to make a selection of producers. They ended up with Bedrocan, a new player in the market. In 2003, it became the sole producer for the Dutch government, a monopoly. There is a lot of criticism from medicinal cannabis patients on the Dutch system. The Dutch medicinal program is not working for them. The mandatory gamma radiation to sterilize the cannabis is heavily criticized by experts all over the world.
They said, well, but it's gamma irradiated. They made something out of gamma irradiation that has nothing to do with reality, just for putting a black stamp on the medicinal cannabis from the ministry.
Doctors do not prescribe, and insurance companies hardly pay out.
Because there is not as much research done on medicinal cannabis than on other medicines, that in many cases other medicines are a first choice. And they agreed initially that it was just a herb and they could be reimbursed. No, later they didn't keep their promise. It means for the patients that they have to pay it from their own pocket.
Also, patients complain about the lack of different varieties of cannabis and the prices that are too high.
In the ministry, it was said that the cannabis should finance itself. Then we should have double the price maybe, then we would have a research budget. But I think the price was reasonable. There were a number of reasons for the price difference, the TVA for instance, and the distribution, but also the laboratory cost.
Scholten acknowledges the fact that research and development was not part of the program.
We actually had not so much budget for research.
Also the fact that providing the right information for doctors and insurance companies was hardly done.
The government is not there to build up a pharmaceutical company.
Countries all over the world are looking at the Dutch way, a state-controlled program forced by ancient international laws and no allowance for individual growers.